everybody, this is Judy at Judi in the Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious stuffed roasted acorn squash. Now the recipe is in the description box below and the instructions for roasting the squash are there. I already have a video out on how to roast acorn squash and I'll put a link to that video in the description box, so if you haven't seen it I invite you to go check that out as well. So because that's already there and the instructions are in the description box, I'm going to skip straight to the filling. Now for this recipe, you can start with putting that acorn squash in the oven and then put rice on the stove to cook and then start this filling. Or you can cook the acorn squash and the rice in advance, have them in the refrigerator even, do them the day before, and then make the filling from here. That's exactly what I've done. My rice is already cooked, my acorn squash is already cooked. So there's two different ways that you can approach this. And if you're cooking them at the time, then you probably will not need to reheat anything. And if you cook it in advance, then you can put it in the oven at 375 or even 400 and allow it to reheat. And I'll go over that, and it is in the instructions. My pan is heating up on medium heat. I'm adding a tablespoon of butter. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to go ahead and actually measure it out this time. I'm going to allow this butter to melt, and then we're going to start working on this filling and saute some vegetables. This is a sweet and savory filling here, and with acorn squash, something sweet actually goes fabulously with it. Alright, I have half a cup of chopped yellow onion that I'm adding to this, and I also have half a cup of bell pepper. You could use a red bell pepper, that would be awesome. I don't have any red bell pepper at the moment, so I'm using what I have. So therefore you can use what you have, what you prefer. So we're just going to allow these to saute a little bit until those onions start to soften up and the peppers soften up just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, because a little crunch with the bell peppers in particular is actually going to be a nice thing to have with this. Medium heat is all you need on this. I don't like to saute things really hot, especially when we're using the oil. You don't want to overheat it. You don't want to allow it to get to a smoking point. As you can see, the onions are starting to soften up. So I'm going to move forward. I have 2 cloves of garlic, 2 medium-sized cloves that I have finely minced up, and we're going to add those to the mix here and allow them to become aromatic. It smells wonderful in here, and I think the garlic has cooked long enough. Now I have 1/4 cup of sweetened dried cranberries. I have 1/2 cup of pecans that I have coarsely chopped up. We're going to add those into the mix. And I have a 1/2 teaspoon of pink sea salt. I'm just going to stir all this together, just kind of blend it. We don't really need the pecans to toast on here, or the cranberries either, but I just want to stir that up. Now I also have 1 red apple that I have cut into bite-sized pieces and peeled it. You can use any type of apple that you want. This is actually a Braeburn apple. I like the sweet and tartness of it, but you know, if you have Red Delicious or whatever you prefer, feel free to use. Now all I'm really doing is just allowing this to heat up a little bit. I don't really need to cook the apples to any degree. Just heat up a little bit. Looks pretty. And now I have 3 cups of cooked brown rice. You can use any type of rice that you want. And again, this was cooked in advance. If you cook it first and it's still warm, that's all the better actually. Then you would stir your warm rice in here and it's pretty much ready to go. Now all I need to do is just stir this together and it is ready to be filled. into the acorn squash halves that have been roasted. I'm going to turn the stove off because this rice is cooked, it's dry, and I don't want it sticking to the pan. All we want to do is just combine this filling, and that's all there is to it. Now, with the rice having been cold, I'll need to heat everything up, and the one easy way to do it would be to just have your oven hot and fill your acorn squash and then put it back in the oven until everything is heated through. If you're roasting the acorn squash at this point in time, you could just cover this and set it aside until they're done and then fill it and return this to the oven if you need to for it to get hot. If the rice is freshly cooked, you shouldn't need to do that step. It's all going to be already hot enough to serve. Mine is going to need a little bit of reheating. And when you go to stuff the squash, if you have some of this filling left over and you want to serve it on the side, you can easily do that, and just it can be warmed up in a bowl and just cover it with some foil, something like that, because you want that to retain any moisture in there. And could be served on the side, and this would make a great side dish with so many different meals. All right, I'm going to stuff half an acorn squash and show you what this looks like. There you go. It is a beautiful dish. It makes a great side dish with all kinds of meals. You could even use it as a main course if you wanted to, and add maybe some more nuts to it if you wanted to do that, or seeds or whatever, beans even, of your choice. It's a sweet and savory dish between the sweetness of the acorn squash, the apple, and the cranberries, and then the savoriness of the rice and the bell peppers and the onion and garlic. It's a great combination. There's enough here to fill, I'd say, about 6 acorn squash halves. And again, if there's anything extra, people will be glad to eat that on the side. It's so yummy. This is truly a delicious recipe, and I hope you'll give it a try sometime. Let me know in the comments section below how it works for you. This is Judi at Judi in the Kitchen. Have a great day.